Welcome to Built to Win, the podcast created to help you level up your business game by developing a success mindset made for the long run. In this episode, Neora's Dave Fleming talks with best-selling author, podcast host, and brand building expert Katie Ursta about how authenticity and connection drive success in today's direct selling landscape. Join us as Katie shares what she looks for in a company, the values that matter most, and why simplicity and transparency are the keys to longevity.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Built to Win. This is going to be a really special, extraordinary podcast, I can already tell you, because I have an amazing guest with me. Katie Ursta is a best-selling author, a podcast host, a brand building expert, just tons and tons of things that she does very, very well. And I'm really excited to introduce her to all of you and to get to know her a little bit. So, Katie, if you don't mind telling our listeners a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you live, who is Katie Ursta?
Awesome. It's so funny. I was actually having a conversation with some friends today. I met one of my brand partners for breakfast this morning. She was in town and she said something to the effect of, "Oh my gosh, Katie, I feel like it's such a big deal that I'm meeting you." And I'm like, listen, that it is not at all. My children would say in a heartbeat that I am the most boring person on the face of this planet. So I am so grateful to be here and share a little bit about my experiences within the network marketing industry, as well as just some of my experiences with what I see on social media and trends and all of those things. So I think we're going to dive right into a pretty deep conversation today, right, Dave?
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into lots of stuff, and I'm here for all of it. And we probably could spend hours and hours talking to you because you cover so many different topics, and
Yeah.
you're an expert in so many different topics. But let's start with kind of what you're seeing around social media first, because I think the overlap of social media and direct selling network marketing is so interesting right now. And so I kind of like, from your perspective, what are you seeing kind of on a larger landscape perspective of
Yeah.
social media generally?
So the first thing that I want to say before I go into the trends that I'm seeing right now on social media is a year ago at this time, actually almost a year to the day at this time, I was in a different place completely with the industry. I actually was very jaded by the industry. And for those who maybe have never heard my story or are unfamiliar with a little bit of what has been happening within the industry as a whole, I was part of a direct sales company for 12 years and then they shut the doors. The CEO decided they were no longer going to continue with the network marketing side of the industry. They were just going to focus on influencer marketing. And so almost overnight, I lost 12 years of what I had put my heart and soul into really building over that time. And so at that moment, when I found out that the doors were closing, my first initial reaction was, number one, frantic energy will never be fruitful. And I left the industry kind of looking at it going, everybody felt like they had to rush to get somewhere else. And it felt as though people were making super hasty decisions in partnering with network marketing or leaving network marketing in general. And I just made the decision to quietly wait and watch and see what in the industry stood out to me in terms of integrity, in terms of transparency, and even in terms of security. So I came into the industry for a second round after seeing really a lot of frantic energy with the women that I was mentoring and the women that I was doing network marketing alongside of. And I just knew that if I was ever going to pursue network marketing again, it had to be with a company I felt fully aligned with. And I didn't feel that right away, to be honest with you, Dave. So when I look at what the industry is right now, I still see a lot of that. I see a lot of companies who are not quite up to date with the best practices. And so they're having to make decisions that are impacting the livelihood of a lot of people. I am seeing within the industry this feeling of I have to rush to get ahead, to get my spot. I am seeing a lot of in the industry what what is it going to mean to be an influencer versus somebody who is in direct sales? Is there one that is better than the other? Can they complement each other? Can I do both of them? And so there's still a lot of up in the air when it comes to direct sales as an industry.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that, and for those of our listeners who are maybe coming here the first time, we spend a lot of time talking about direct selling because that's the business that we're in.
Yeah.
And 1 in 6 households in the United States, and in some places even higher than that globally, are participating in direct selling. So it's one of the most popular ways to build a business for yourself, of entrepreneurship, very low cost. So we talk a lot about that. And it's
Yeah.
really interesting how the industry of direct selling is going through this kind of metamorphosis.
It is.
And I do want to talk about that, but maybe I also want to back up and talk a little bit about, like, why direct selling, why network marketing in the first place. Like, you spent 12 years building a business, and it's horrifying that the business just decides one day that
Yeah.
they're done. It's like mind-boggling that can happen.
Yeah.
But going back to the beginning, like, what ultimately, like, why did you say yes to that in the first place?
Mhm. I was just a woman who was a full-time teacher, and my husband and I were crossing our fingers at the end of the month, hoping that there was enough in the bank account for the little extras, and there never seemed to be. So I really came into direct sales without knowing what network marketing was, not knowing what direct sales was in general. I just remember on one occasion being at the grocery store, and this was probably closer to 13 years ago now at this point. I was at the grocery store. My son needed diapers and milk, and payday was still a couple of days away. And I just remember thinking to myself, I just want to get these couple items and not have to charge them. I didn't want to put them on a credit card. And so I went up to the cashier and I rang my debit card, and he looked at me and he said, insufficient funds. And I remember scrambling for my credit card because I knew I had to use my credit card to pay for those couple things. And the very clear moment was, I just don't understand how anybody does more than get by. My husband had a good job. I was a school teacher. And yet here we were trying our best to just get ahead. And it felt like we were falling behind and falling behind. And I remember seeing a piece of content. It was early in social media. So it was a woman that I had known from college, and she was talking a lot about these workouts that she was doing. And at the time we were using a lot of neon fonts and duck lips, and it was really cheesy, but I remember seeing it and thinking she just looks happy. And I also remember thinking it's really weird. My first initial thought of people in direct sales was like, these people are weird. Like, they're taking selfies, and they are, putting these duck lips up and fonts, and like, who does that? Like, that's so weird. And it's important to note that my first reaction to network marketing was skepticism. I thought it was weird. I was very skeptical about the industry, about the people, about what it was. I was skeptical about how people earn from it. And so when I went into the industry, because I was genuinely like, she looks happy. And because she looked happy, I wanted a piece of that, even though I was skeptical and I thought it was incredibly weird. And with those things in mind, I went into the industry like with just kind of like just sort of, what could this be? I didn't have this dream big philosophy. I was just like, it would be cool if I could get the groceries paid for. That's it.
Yeah.
That's why I went into the industry. And 12 years ago at that time, that's what the big goal was. And I want to just reiterate too, for a lot of people coming into the industry, that is the big goal. They're never relating to the people who who drive the big fancy shiny cars. A lot of times the people who get into the industry because they are tired of fighting over finances. And so when I think about even how I'm marketing or what I'm sharing, I'm always thinking about who's on the other side of the screen and how are they consuming my content. So for those of you who are like really like, okay, you have 12 years of experience, like what are the things that you've shifted, have changed? The biggest thing at the end of the day of direct sales and doing it right is really a commitment to helping people resolve a problem or achieve a desire that they have. And so when I went into the industry, when I was trying to get the groceries paid for, that was the goal. Just help
Mm.
people do more than just get by. And 12 years later in the business, in a totally different company, that is still the mission. That is still the goal. Help people do more than just get by, help them achieve their goals, help them live their desired life. it is still the goal. At the end of the day, that is what direct sales can do for people.
Yeah. Yeah. And we hear tons and tons of stories, and and everybody knows somebody who has a horror story about direct selling too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, like there are companies, and you've had your own horror story, like 12
Yeah.
years into a business. That's and that's man, that is hard to take. But you're not the only one that we've heard that happen to, unfortunately. Like that's something that we hear from time to time. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm curious, like obviously you have that kind of a setback. You're going to kind of reevaluate, decide,
Yeah.
do you want to do this again? And
Yeah.
I joke all the time. I said, this direct selling is made up of two kinds of people: the people that said I would never do this, and the people said I would never do this again.
Okay. I guess I did both of them because I kind of was both of them. I really didn't think I was doing it again, Dave. I really didn't.
Well, and after that experience, I don't like,
Yeah.
yeah, like that's totally like, why would you? Like if you
Right.
put 12 years into anything and then suddenly like it's without anything to do with your own
Mm.
fault, like it just goes away. Like
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
unreal. I'm curious, like you were questioning, do I want to do this again?
Mm.
And we talk about there are two kinds of people in this business: the people that said I would never do this, and the people that said I would never do this again. And so I'm curious, like, did you over 12 years, you probably developed some things that you were looking for if you were going to
Yeah.
do this again. So I'm curious, like what, you said yes to it in the first place for certain reasons. Obviously you're going to say yes again. It's
Yeah.
for other reasons,
Yeah.
or maybe the same reasons, but yeah, did you, I guess what I'm asking is, did you have a list that you were now are looking for if you were going to do this again?
Yeah. There is a couple things. So, first thing is if you are doing direct sales right, I firmly believe you are going to do so much internal work and you yourself are going to change as just a human being. A lot of personal development is in the network marketing direct sales space. And for me, over 12 years, I was so different than the woman who had come in with that complete skepticism for the industry in general. And when I found out that the company was closing the doors, a lot of the skills that I had developed over those 12 years, I had gone on and done other things in addition to direct sales. So on top of just the direct selling business, I owned a company, I had published a book, I had a podcast, I had all of these different ventures that I was going into. And I was thinking to myself, do I really want to ever possibly experience bringing people in to a network marketing space and then potentially misleading or misguiding them in some way, and then the company doing that same thing again? And so when I first found out about our industry, our company closing its doors, my initial thought was never again, because I didn't have that trust in the industry.
Hmm.
And when I started to really reflect on it and think about the things that I did love about the industry, for example, I love the community. I love mentoring people. I love sales in general. I love when I have a really great product that I love and I can get it into the hands of somebody else who is going to love it as well. There was a lot in the industry that I enjoyed, but I was very skeptical to see if anyone had the full package. So I'd like to share a couple of the things that I found to be really, really helpful in pursuing direct sales for round two. Do you mind if I kind of run through a little list?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Yeah, because I think a lot of people probably are looking at direct selling or thinking about direct selling, but they
Yeah.
maybe don't know what to look for. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, so I think this would be hugely helpful.
Awesome. So the first thing I suggest is have your own list. So I'm going to give you mine and I'm going to share what I was specifically looking for, but you may have things that are different than what I deemed incredibly valuable for me. And this really does align with the things that matter most to you, your own personal values as well. And so for me, not going into the industry right away allowed me to pause and really reflect on what is it that I want from a direct sales experience, not just from a company. And I looked at it as a responsibility to do it right. As somebody who has authored a book called Direct Sales Done Right, as somebody who has a podcast called Direct Sales Done Right, like I am literally the person who's like, I got to get this right because people are watching. And so for me, that list consists of really three things. Number one, product transparency. Number 2, corporate integrity. And number 3, company security. So I'm going to walk through what those things look like. The first is when I talk about product transparency, I find that the products that I'm using, I want to make sure that I feel really confident in how I am recommending them to other people. I care a lot about my wellness overall. I am a stage 4 cancer survivor, and so I'm very cautious about the things that I put on my body and into my body. And so product transparency and understanding what the ingredients are, how they are formulated, and also making sure that they are third-party tested was a big part of why I chose the company I did for my second round. And I also loved that when I look at what our company does, I was looking for a company that nobody else could really touch what we were doing. And I've learned, even in the months that I have been with the company that I'm with, that it's not just the transparency, but they're very innovative as well with the things that they are doing. So the first part of that is, am I aligned with what I'm going to be endorsing? Because I'm not just going to be using and consuming those products. My name is now going to be associated with them, and that means a lot to me. The second is corporate integrity, and I want to take a minute to talk about this. I came from a company that decided after they went public that they were going to remove the network marketing side that had built up the business to the billion-dollar standpoint. And when I left that organization, I remember thinking, are all CEOs like this? Like, is it that easy for them? And I can't say easy, but if it came down to it, is that going to be the first thing that they do? And I remember thinking, when I heard that my CEO was Jeff Olson, I remember thinking that is the first man that ever mentored me in direct sales. He authored the first book that I ever read as a network marketer that didn't just change the way I did business, it changed my life. It changed me as a mother. It changed me as a cancer survivor. It changed me as a wife because I started looking at the small, seemingly insignificant things that I did every single day that compounded and created lasting results. And it actually impacted the way I even looked at my own cancer battle. While I was battling, I really took that same mindset and philosophy of little habits every single day make for lasting changes. And it really helped me with my mindset throughout the battle. And I remember sitting back and thinking, if Jeff Olson is associated with a network marketing company, I'm ready and curious to learn a little bit more about that company because I trust him. And then I went into the third point, and that is security. Although there's never guarantees in life, we all know that, I really was looking for a company that I felt I could put my stamp of approval on in saying, you can build here to other people. And when I looked at the company, I remember listening to what they call a State of the Union, which meant that the CEO, his daughter, they actually were explaining what is happening in the industry and how many companies are actually still operating out of old models and old mindsets that are no longer fitting into 2025 and beyond. And as I was listening to this call, I was actually doing the dishes, and I had reached out to CEOs, and a couple CEOs had reached out to me, and everything felt no. For one of those 3 reasons, everything felt like a no to me. And as I was listening to this State of the Union, I remember thinking, they are doing this right. And they aren't just looking out for how can we as a company do well, and how can we make sure that our brand partners are taken care of. There was an honesty in what they were saying that made me realize they were doing this for the actual industry, for direct sales in general. And as I was listening to it, I remember thinking, wow, they're actually doing this right. They are really the epitome of doing direct sales done right. And that's not to say that when I partnered with the company, it was all rainbows and butterflies. You are going to go through maybe a season of maybe skepticism, as if you've ever had your company maybe shut its doors, or you've been maybe with a sponsor or an upline who promised you everything and then just fell short of those things. I have found that the security that I have here is what is allowing me to not just say this is a great company that is doing things right for the brand partners, but they are now the model of doing direct sales right for the entire industry. And so it was really those three things, Dave, that I asked myself. Now, you could get technical too. You could go, do I want a unilateral? Do I want a bilateral? What type of compensation plan? Of course, we should look into all of those things. But for me, values and being aligned to a company that meets my values it had to be my top priority.
Sure. Yeah. Which I think that's good advice for any business people are looking to get into is
Yeah.
like, are the values aligned with your personal values? Because if not, that's going to be a really tough road to hoe. Like that's
Yeah.
not an easy thing. Um, so you were looking at specific things, and that's an impressive and I think really kind of like I think that's a really good list for people.
Yeah.
Eh, in terms of like direct selling, network marketing in general, um, were you interested in a specific product line, or do you think that's important for people to align not just the innovation and the principles of the business and the values that they have, but also you mentioned compensation plan. I wonder, like, was it the product
Yeah.
line? Was that also something you considered, or was that like not as important in the process?
I would say, and this is really for anyone, you're going to be spending a lot of time talking about your product or
Mhm.
what your product does or the problem it resolves or the desire that you can achieve through using the products. So I was open-minded. The last thing that I was thinking about was actually skincare. I like no interest and never even thought. I was the girl who used a bar of soap before I started. I'm really embarrassed to admit this now, but I was using a bar of soap. I didn't know. It really wasn't something that I thought about, but wellness I did. And what I liked about it was I knew that my audience would be interested in products that I felt were clean, were holistic, were cruelty free. They didn't contain a lot of crap inside of them because they were looking to me for that. So
Mhm.
again, I think it kind of goes back to what are the things that you care about and the values that you hold. I personally wanted a catalog that was simple too. So I find that in direct sales, there's some catalogs that have lots and lots of products. I get very overwhelmed by that because there's so many different ways I can take the marketing. I knew that no matter what I endorsed, I wanted it to be simple. I didn't want 10 steps to X, Y, and Z. I didn't want a lot of products where people are confused with what they have to order. I really wanted simple. And what cracks me up now is looking back, I'm like, I bet you Jeff Olson did that on purpose because I find that even the catalog is legit simple. And so I knew that if I could wrap my head around it, the simplicity of the products, but also the simplicity of the comp plan, I would be able to teach it simply. And if everything is simple, I find that more people win. So
Mm.
that's what I found to be more attractive than just a product was can people use this and will they stay on it because it's simple?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Like people, especially in 2025, people don't need more complicated things in
Yeah,
their lives. It's like
no, not at all. Not at
everything,
all.
everything needs to simplify a little bit. We're all looking for a little more simplicity in our lives.
Yeah.
Um, do you see the kind of the a change in how people are doing direct selling and what they're looking for? Because for me personally, like I see that direct selling companies have become a lot more sophisticated in not only their products that they offer, but how they do the business.
Yeah.
It's come a long way in the 20 plus years that I've been around this business. And you've been doing this for,
I know.
12, 13
Hot
years.
minute. Yeah, a hot minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's definitely changed. So I will say that when I look back at the early days of direct selling, and this is when we were making duck lips and we had neon font, I was one of like the OG for posting on social media because a lot of what we were doing was still in-person party. And I
Hmm.
remember we would do these fit clubs for the company that I was a part of. That's really where I started. And I believe that as I was kind of seeing these transitions change, it wasn't just the trends that were changing, it was the way that we are consuming content is changing. The way that we are purchasing changes as well. And the people we are purchasing from changes too. So one of the things that I teach people is if you want to create a career out of direct sales, you have to give people some type of experience so that they want to purchase from you. They don't just want to go to the company website and purchase. They're thinking, why do I need to purchase this from Katie? Why should I start my skincare routine with Katie? Why should I start my wellness routine with Katie? And so you're not just thinking about the product, endorsing the product. You're really thinking about why should people purchase from me? And some of that comes down to how are you showing up on social media? So I personally make sure that I create content where people get a feel for my personality. They get a feel for who I am and they're like, do I like her? Do I not like her? I don't want anyone lukewarm about me. If you're lukewarm about me, you're not going to purchase from me. So I really focus on brand awareness content and high engagement content. And I also focus on sales content that encompasses what people get from purchasing from me. And I can walk through a really quick example for you instead of just giving a testimonial, right? Where you give a before and after of somebody's amazing skincare transformation, right? Instead, you walk people through the journey of how you help that customer actually figure out what the best skincare routine or the best products were going to be for that person, how you got them started, or maybe you give an example of how you troubleshot with that person so that they were able to continue to get absolutely incredible results. So you have to build yourself into the experience that somebody is having with the products, and not just the products, but with your opportunity as well. And if we're not doing that, there's no reason why people just won't go to the website and purchase from the website. So I will say that that has been one of the biggest transitions, is making people see what you bring to the table as the person who's kind of a liaison between the company and you. Like or the company and the products, it's like they're not going to get the great results without the you. That's the biggest difference.
Okay. Yeah. Do you find that being, and it seems like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but it feels like in 2025, when we're recording this podcast, authenticity on social media is at a premium just because of all the different things that are going on. Like there's people like there's personas, there's AI, there's just so many things that are not necessarily, real. I'm curious, like, is authenticity still the currency of the internet, or do you see that changing?
I think authenticity is actually a superpower, and most people are just giving it away. They are so focused on how can I make this bigger, or how can I make this go viral, or how can ChatGPT sharpen my words, but they lose the who they are in the process. And at the end of the day, Dave, what people crave the most is feeling seen, heard, and understood. Those three things. And if we aren't helping people feel seen, heard, and understood, they are never going to purchase from us. They're never going to sign up from us. One of the greatest compliments that I received just recently was a woman she's in the med spa industry, and she actually was in direct sales with me the first time around. And for the past year, we've gone back and forth, and it just never was the time. It never was the time. And she messaged me and she said, you have been so consistent with the way that you speak of the products, but you have also never forced it. And I am so excited to begin taking this adventure. But there was a level of patience with it and belief that if I just continue on with making people feel seen, heard, and that they matter, eventually it will come back and it will bless me. So that's the first part. And the second is when people see your content, especially sales content or about your business, or if you're getting ready to showcase like what the opportunity looks like, you have to remember that you are not consuming your content the way somebody else is. And when they are consuming your content, they're thinking, can you actually help me? And the second thing they're thinking is, do you care enough about me to actually help me? And if they don't feel good about those answers, they're never going to connect with you or to purchase from you or to sign up with you. So those two things kind of together, seen, heard, and understood. And then also, do you care about me? And then can you help me? Those two things combined are really what make you unique. It's not always what's trending. It's not always about going viral. In fact, it has very little to go with virality anymore. It has to do more with the care. And most people are consuming content in a way where they don't care enough about the creator and the creator doesn't necessarily care about them. And so to be that person, to be that sounding board that says, I do care about you and I can help you. And by the way, here's some evidence for you of how I've actually helped other people. That's where people see you as a standout.
I think what you just said is so critically important right now because like people consume content at rates like unprecedented rates on social media. And but what you said that really stood out to me was you said like it's not about virality right now. Like yes, that's the goal if your goal is to create eyeballs on content.
Yeah.
But if your goal is to grow connections and grow a business and build the trust in your team,
Yeah.
then it's not about the clicks. It's
Yeah.
about authenticity. I
And
think that's
connections
great.
isn't a trend. Connections are never going to go out of style. In fact, I think they are more needed now than ever as we get more into ChatGPT and there's more content creators who are searching for the virality. There is going to be this craving and this need for people who show up very authentically. And even as you can use ChatGPT, maybe it helps you with the hooks, or maybe it helps you actually with calls to action. I still encourage you to think like, but who am I in this? Like, am I still coming through in this? Because in most cases, you're not. I mean, when all you're doing is following the trends of various people, you lose your voice in all of that. So
Mhm.
I would say on top of that, Dave, I teach what I call the V3, which is just vision, voice, and vulnerability. If you are not clear on the vision of where you're going, people don't have a reason to follow you. If you don't have a distinct voice for why you do what you do, nobody is going to purchase from you. And if you are not vulnerable, people are never going to connect with you. So
Mm.
those three things too, on top of all of that, is what keeps us connected as humans.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. And I totally agree, by the way. I think that like in this world of evolving AI and social media content and the algorithms kind of running our lives to a certain degree,
Yeah.
that authenticity becomes more and more valuable. And I suspect, and we'll see what the next couple of years brings out or not, but I suspect that direct selling is better positioned to capitalize on those real authentic relationships than really
Yeah,
any other business.
I think so. But I think it's the people who are doing it right. I think people are
Totally
starting to
agree.
see through a lot of the generated content. I think people are really starting to get skeptical to it. I remember seeing not too long ago one post, and then I saw six, seven, eight, nine versions of it from different creators. And it was on purpose because I paused on that piece of content. The algorithm said, okay, there's something about this. She likes it. Feed her similar content. So they fed me similar content, but it was the exact same content. So you have to remember too, you are being fed the things that you consume the most as well.
Hmm.
And so is your audience. So if your audience is seeing, wow, she's a little different, or that's interesting, I've never heard it said quite that way, you're going to stand out in the industry.
Yeah, I love that's a great tip too. And people gravitate to the things, obviously the algorithm capitalizes on that, but people
Yeah.
gravitate to what they are interested in.
Mhm.
My feed is full of cats and golf and
Oh,
workout tips and like that's
yeah.
all I see, you
That's okay.
know?
My husband's is filled with hockey. So his account is
See?
all hockey all the time, and his entire Explore is just hockey. There is nothing but hockey on that thing.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it. And so it creates these little bubbles that we live in, and it's like
Yeah,
that's all I see. And if I were to, if I believe that that's what everybody saw, which wouldn't be hard to think because that's all I see, right? So it wouldn't be
yeah,
hard to think that's what everybody else sees. But
totally.
but of course they don't. Like I don't get hockey,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get golf. But um, But tell us a little bit about, because you mentioned like doing it right, which I
Yeah.
love. And I wanted to plug your podcast as well, because you also run a podcast called Direct Selling Done Right.
Yeah.
And so want to make sure that people know about that, and tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about what that is, what it's all about, and how to find it.
Sure, absolutely. So, Direct Sales Done Right is a podcast I've had for a few years. And what I focus on in there is just tips for those people who are in the industry, yes, but I also incorporate a lot of the V3, so vision, voice, and vulnerability. So, you are going to hear me tell stories of my kiddos, lessons that I'm learning from being their mom, but also are applicable to business as well. And this whole month, we've been focused on how to really build up your personal brand. So that's been fun. And then I also give just tips and ideas for people who are in the industry, but they also really don't ever want to feel like, it's the most important thing. I feel like
Mm.
my experience in direct sales is I don't want anyone to ever feel so consumed by their business that they forget about the power of just being and living and joy. And so the entire past year that I've been recording these podcasts, my audience has been able to actually listen to me walk through in real time what I call a life quake, from losing my first business to closing down another business that I ran for a long time, and then ultimately stepping into this new season of direct sales. And it has been so joyful to really hear how much of an impact that story and how I've woven pieces of that story into the podcast has really impacted the audience. So it's been really cool over the past few months to see how much it has been growing. And it is because I genuinely feel like we are a community, and the people who are listening are just in my corner rooting for me as much as I am genuinely rooting for them too. So Direct Sales Done Right is the podcast. You can listen to it on Spotify, on iTunes, wherever you stream your thing. So that's good too.
I love it. Yeah. And I'll put my personal plug into it, and I haven't followed it for years and years. I've only recently picked it up,
Oh,
and
fun.
I think it's fantastic. I think there's tons of great info in there for people, especially obviously if you're in direct selling, but even if you're not, there's great info in there for just business building in general.
Yeah,
Like you said, like the brand building thing that you've been doing for this last month has been, I think, like super valuable for anybody
good,
who's building business on the socials. So
good.
yeah, so I'll add my personal plug to that. This has been awesome, and we could go on and on and on, but I know you've got a podcast to run, you've got books to write, you've got a business to build. But I wanna ask you one last question before we let you
Sure.
go. And it's a question that we ask a lot of our guests here, but I want, like, from your perspective, like, what is your favorite thing about direct selling? Like, something, maybe it's something you didn't expect to find, but something you have found, or just from your perspective, what's your favorite thing about direct selling?
Oh, this is hard. I think that there is no way for anybody in direct sales who is wants and is determined to find success uh, doesn't come out absolutely unchanged. And I love that the growth journey that I have gone on, not just over the past 12 years, but even more so in the past year, has forced me to really refine and reflect on my leadership skills, my values, why I am doing this, and really to just be a role model to my sons who are now getting to see in real time me building a business from the bottom up as they are a little bit older. And what a gift to be able to give that to your kids, to watch them see from their perspective what it was like to see their mom go from losing a lot to rising up. And that process of the re-rise has such a profound impact on who they are becoming as well. That I think is what I am the most grateful for with direct sales.
That's awesome. I'd say that's a good reason. That's a good reason to like direct selling. And I will say you're doing it right. You walk the talk. You have a podcast called Doing Direct Selling Right. Obviously, you have to do it right in order to be an authority on that topic, and I think you are. So congratulations on all your success. Thanks for
Yes,
coming on the podcast. It's been
absolutely.
absolutely wonderful to have you.
Absolutely.
Um, Hopefully we'll have to have you back sometime. We can get into some of these other topics that we didn't even get a chance to talk to today.
Let's do it. All right. Thanks so much for your time, Dave. Have a great day, everyone.
That was Dave Fleming talking with Katie Ersta about how she rebuilt her direct selling career with integrity and intention, and the importance of authenticity. We hope you've enjoyed this episode, and if you learned something from it, please share it with a friend or colleague who you think would also benefit. And if you're new to Built to Win, we invite you to go back and listen to our story from the beginning. You can find us wherever you download your favorite podcasts. And while you're there, please rate us and leave a review to let us know what you think of the show.